Welcome to How It Works, the video series from LawSites and LawNext, in which you get to see hands-on demonstrations of legal tech products directly from their developers. Today we're going to be looking at Steno's Transcript Genius, a revolutionary new AI-powered transcript analysis tool that empowers attorneys to streamline workflows, extract key insights, and build stronger cases. Joining me today to tell us all about it and show us how it works are Dylan Ruga, Steno's co-founder and president, and Joe Stevens, legal solutions consultant at Steno. Dylan and Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Bob.
Before we launch into the demo, Dylan, why don't you give us a little bit of a background on Steno and Transcript Genius?
Sure. So I'm a lawyer by background and training. I'm a litigator, been litigating for the last 20 years, and decided to start Steno 6 years ago as a court reporting agency. And we do all the same things that other court reporting agencies do, but we differentiate in a couple of key ways. One of the ways that we differentiate is that we defer payment on all of our services for anybody that wants to defer payment. Plaintiff or defense, if you don't want to pay us until the end of your case, fine by us. We're happy to do that. And that solves a big cash flow problem that a lot of lawyers tend to struggle with. The other thing that we do to differentiate is we build technology. We have a team of a couple dozen folks at Steno who constantly innovate. And back when we had the pandemic, Steno was the first to build something that we called Steno Connect, which is an app that could be installed in the Zoom platform that allows lawyers to take remote depositions more seamlessly without getting into all the weeds of how that works. The cool thing is that you can drag and drop your exhibits directly into the Zoom platform, mark them when you're ready to mark them, annotate them when you want to annotate them without having to share your screen or use any third-party applications to help in that process. So it just makes the whole process of taking a remote deposition much more seamless. So then fast forward to about a year ago, and everybody started talking about AI and AI and all of the potentials of AI. And we started thinking, well, how can we leverage AI to what we do at Steno? And it became clear that AI can pretty easily create deposition transcript summaries. And we noticed that you can just plug in a deposition transcript and ask something like ChatGPT to create a summary for you and condense essentially a 100-page transcript into 10 pages. And we started talking to our customers about that, and they weren't all that excited about just summarizing a deposition transcript because just the act of condensing it from 100 pages to 10 pages really doesn't leave the lawyer with a product that may be all that relevant to them. And so we said, well, what can we do to improve on that? And the answer is we wanted an ability to be able to interrogate the transcript and be able to, quickly surface and identify key insights in the transcript that are relevant to whatever the lawyer is working on, not just kind of a non-dynamic transcript summary. So that's what we built with Transcript Genius, and we have just come out of beta. We've had about 50 to 100 users in our beta program, and the response has been overwhelmingly great. And now as we exit beta, make it available for all, one of the key things that we wanted to do was not just release this technology, but also make it available for free. We see a lot of our competitors out there that are charging $100, $200 or more for a transcript summary that really isn't costing the agencies anything to create. This technology really, for the most part, doesn't have that much cost associated with it. And so rather than trying to see this as a profit center for us, we want to give it away to all of our customers. And as long as you're using Steno for court reporting, you have access to Transcript Genius at no additional cost. So our goal is to really let lawyers get back to what they're best at, which is lawyering, not spending hours reviewing transcripts.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad to hear you're giving it away for free to your customers. That's a really generous offer. Well, Joe, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and give us a little demo of how this works?
Gladly. Okay. So as Dylan said, here we are actually in our firm dashboard is what we call it at Steno. And this is really just sort of the command center for all things Steno. All products that we use, the suite of products, actually live and breathe here. And you can see at the very top that Transcript Genius is one of the tabs. So as soon as you have booked a job through Steno and the transcript has come back from the court reporter, what you do is you have access to all of them. And I'm going to kind of highlight 3 different features, really amazing power features of Transcript Genius. But the first one is obviously just trying to decide and drill down into what transcript you actually want to interrogate, what transcript you want to analyze. And one of the ways that we do that differently is we can actually use what's called sort of a semantic search. We can search and discover exactly which transcript we want to find by idea. So you can have the exact word at your disposal or the term at your disposal that you're interested in looking for, or you could just have something that's more conceptual. So let's say you're trying to find a case that involves mandatory training requirements. Okay, that's one way to search. And what you're going to see here is actually basically a transcript that has a number of the ideas referenced. So it does have the word training, but it also has formal in front of it and another reference to formal training and trainings in general. So conceptually, we've arrived at a transcript that tackles exactly the subject that you've just been searching for. And then beneath it are going to be a number of specific references to training in and of itself. So maybe this is the transcript that we decide that we want to interrogate. And that's the first thing that Transcript Genius allows you to do is drill through all of the content that you have so that you can then arrive at the transcript that you actually want to analyze more deeply. So I'm going to click on this interrogate tab right here to actually go into the transcript. Once that tab has been clicked and you actually arrive at the transcript you want to interrogate, what you see are 2 things. The transcript itself on the right side, and one of the benefits of Transcript Genius from the outset is that it actually knows what a transcript is. It understands line breaks. It understands what the plaintiff is and who the defendant is. There's metadata behind it that allows the content of the transcript to be much more easy to search and analyze. And on the left side, we've got a few pre-populated prompts just to kind of kick the tires and get the wheels turning on how you want to engage with the transcript itself. But let's say you're just trying to figure out exactly what this transcript is, and you have it was maybe 6 months ago, and you're trying to remember exactly who this witness was. You can ask the transcript exactly that. Who is this witness in relation to the case in chief? Now, what you're seeing in real time here is the analysis. This is not a sort of pre-populated demo that I am putting together, I've already constructed. This is something that is happening in real time. And so you can see that one of the immediate early use cases is just information recall. Okay, this is who the witness is, and this is exactly, now this makes sense. It can kind of jog the memory on that front. You'll also see these inline citations. So if you immediately want to go to the part in the transcript which is referenced by the answer itself, you can click right into it and see the highlighted tab on the right. Now you have an understanding of exactly who this witness is. Maybe that's all you need. You can use any of these pre-populated questions to trigger even further analysis. One of the base level uses of Transcript Genius, which has been out there from the jump, has been the ability for it to get into the summary, right? But that's just a starting point for what Transcript Genius does. And so here you're seeing again, okay, now here's a pretty condensed version of what went on in this deposition with the page and line citations as they are. So right here, you've got a couple of baseline uses for Transcript Genius. A second excellent use now of Transcript Genius is the ability to interrogate multiple transcripts. So let's say you've arrived at the transcript that you want to interrogate, and you can just simply add multiple transcripts to your interrogation basket, click view, and then go to interrogate them. And what you're seeing now on the right side is that there are going to be multiple transcripts interrogated that you can ask questions to. So one of the great use cases for this, one of the practical use cases for this is, did these witnesses contradict each other? And so in real time, again, what Transcript Genius is doing is using the generative AI to actually analyze the content of both transcripts, go through them one by one, and create an output whereby it's going to tell you exactly where any inconsistency, if any, may lie. And you'll see again, it's going to review exactly and break down by subject, the training and preparation, the knowledge of the resident's condition in this case, or incident reporting, with direct links to the transcripts itself. Now, one of the benefits of having those links in line is it kind of alleviates some of those fears that we have about hallucinations when it comes to AI output. It allows you, again, to drill into the information that you want and then cross-reference it with the page and line citations, which is another excellent use case of Transcript Genius. And at the very bottom, too, it'll do a more detailed analysis of whatever answer it gives. So the ability to interrogate multiple transcripts is another big benefit to Transcript Genius itself.
I think that's a really significant feature. I had seen, when I had seen the beta demo a while ago, that feature wasn't available yet, and I'm really glad to see that. I can see that could be really powerful for lawyers in preparing a case.
Yeah, I think it really has a great practice use too. I mean, again, it's the technology is here designed to support the ability for a litigator to actually do their job more efficiently, and to drill directly into the content of detailed transcripts is such a time saver. So there's a couple of use cases, right? I mean, there's the information recall. There's the ability to sort of get up to speed with a mountain of data. When I used to do appellate work, the ability to actually sift through hundreds or thousands of pages of transcripts over the course of your analysis and then get to the issue at hand, that's huge. The second issue, too, that we just discussed is the ability to do multiple interrogations. So, interrogating multiple transcripts and getting information from those. There's another third use that I found to be kind of interesting, too, and it can be a little bit more creative. Based on the testimony, these witnesses, what are some trial themes I can use? And I found this to be interesting too, because sometimes lawyers can be so close to the case itself and the substance of the case that you can actually use this to distill really complicated topics into something that is a little bit more engaging with a real-time audience. So, taking the thing that you are so close to that's full of complicated legal jargon terms and coming up with jury questions or ways to cross-examine witnesses, or switching the cross-examination in and of itself into open-ended questions or closed-ended questions, asking it, if there's anything important that I might have missed. It's really a conversational piece. And the way I like to think of it sometimes is treating it like an associate almost. Having an associate come into your office and then tasking that associate with a number of things that you can come back in real time and get answers to. So the value add covers, I think, a number of different categories from the legal on down. And one of the other use cases that I think we're seeing emerge with it is giving it some guardrails and giving it, say, a duty of care, or what the rule of evidence is in California regarding expert qualification, putting those in as an input and then asking it to analyze the testimony of an expert based off that rule of evidence, and then come back with some questions to sort of assess the credibility of that witness and maybe how to go about questioning him or her at a later deposition. So that's the high overview, Bob. I'm wondering if there's anything that you'd like to see or you have any questions.
Well, I guess one question I have is, what happens if I get a transcript in from my opposing counsel that, wasn't a transcript I took, it's not in the system already? Can I bring that into Transcript Genius?
The answer to that is absolutely. And I'm going to pause here and actually go back to the other screen. So yes, Bob, the answer is absolutely you can. And right here, you can see that there's an upload transcript feature. It's a drag and drop. You can bring your TXT file in. And once you do drag and drop your transcript back in there and input a little bit of data, it lives in your Transcript Genius portal and it becomes searchable as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Anything else you wanted to show, Joe, before we wrap up?
No, one of the things that we've seen that people really enjoy using Transcript Genius for is being able to look at all of their transcripts of a particular witness, like an expert witness, and search for inconsistencies in that testimony. And so Joe is showing at the first part that you can search for transcripts. You can also filter by witness or case. So if there's a particular expert witness you can just drill down on that witness. And if you have 10, 20, 30 transcripts of that particular expert that you want to interrogate, you can identify all of those and then interrogate them to look for inconsistencies across them. So we've seen that as a particularly useful use case.
Yeah, that was my first thought actually when I saw this, was the ability to look for inconsistencies across multiple matters with the same witness, the same expert in particular, or others. Well, thanks so much for this demo. Dylan, any last words before we wrap up here?
No, I appreciate you giving us an opportunity, Bob. So it was great to see you, and thank you for all of your great work.
All right, well, thank you. And that's it for this episode of How It Works. You can find the full series of these programs at directory.lawnext.com under the Resources tab or on YouTube. Thanks for watching this show. This is Bob Ambrogi.